It's 13 minutes past 2. Well, next this afternoon, I've got to tell you, right, yesterday afternoon was lovely for me. My best mate, his wife and my little goddaughter came round and we sat in the sunshine, in the garden, chatting and laughing and playing with Ray. It was magic. But it was soon dinner time, and Ray went off to get her backpack and proceeded to have a picnic on the blanket. Well, she's not even 2 yet, but out came everything. I've got to be honest with you, it looked delicious. There was fruit, vegetables, fruit juice, smoothies. I had to stop myself from tucking in. I asked Kirsty, Ray's mum, where she finds the time to create such masterpieces. She says it's hard, it's difficult. Well, one mum is trying to change all of this and make it easy for parents to understand and achieve, as well as their children as well. Louise Macia is the owner of the Health Kick and is about to bring out a book. And she joins us now. Louise, how are you?
Hi, I'm very good, thank you.
Good. It's nice to have you in here. Right, first of all, yesterday my little goddaughter came round, not even 2. Out came like the little plastic kind of like the tubs. There was all these like kind of creations in there. It looked absolutely delightful, but it looked like it had taken Kirsty about 3 weeks to make it, and that was one meal. I mean, is this the difficulty that parents are facing all the time?
It is quite difficult to create because children do eat quite a lot. Even from a very young age, they eat quite a lot. They snack often, they need food quite often. So it can be quite difficult to kind of be equipped with all the choices that they need. But it doesn't need to be massively time consuming. I think it is about understanding what they need, when they need, and quick and easy things to be able to produce for them.
So this book, you're bringing out a book. We've got lots to talk about here. The book, quick, like you're saying, something that's going to be good for them. How are you aiming to change this? Because I haven't got any kids, but you only have to look in the media or put your television on or go on the internet, and there are so many conflicting views of what children should have. So is it a case of like, right, down the middle, you're a nutritionist, Louise, this is what you need to do?
I don't like to think that I tell people what to do. I think what I like to do with educating people about food is if you understand the food, rather than say blindly trust the food industry and the products that are available for children, because they can be quite sneaky. They can say something is healthy for your child, and when you look really into it, it's quite a lot of sugar, hidden sugars, sweeteners, high salt content. So when you actually look into it, it's really not that good for them. So I think rather than say, oh, me in my role, I will tell you to do this, it's more a case of me in my role, this is what I think and this is why I think it, and these are the potential health implications. You take it on board and, make your own choices.
So is it a case as well, you're saying then about supermarkets? Everybody goes to a supermarket. I mean, I'm 32 and I look for quick fixes for me. Do you know what I mean? Is it a case for your parent, you're running around, there's loads to do, you are in the supermarket, you think, right, there, buy one, get one free, I'll have a box of those, I'll have a box of this, not knowing that the sugar levels are through the roof. Is it an easy trap to fall into?
Oh, it's a very easy trap to fall into. Sugar is one of the big things that I do focus on in the book because sugar is obviously highly addictive. So it's one of the things that once you start eating it, and with children, it's very easy at a young age to kind of get them to eat what you want them to eat. But once they've started to have sugar, it's then harder to go back because they've kind of got the taste for this, this nice stuff, and give them something like plain yogurt. It doesn't taste as good. So, of course, the food that's sort of targeting children, things with brands and names and things that they recognise from a young age, do have the sugars in them. So it is difficult as a parent to get around that. But yeah, you are in control, not the food companies. So whilst they are, they're labelling things and marketing things at you and making it quite difficult, I don't see that changing. There's lots of increased media attention at the moment about childhood obesity and nutrition for children. Lots of celebrities getting on, celebrity chefs, celebrity doctors. They have some influence, but I don't think the food industry will really make a change. So it's kind of up to us as parents to not buy them really and look for not necessarily the most expensive alternatives, because there are some healthy alternatives. Unfortunately, they are expensive, but being able to come up with your own more cost-effective alternatives.
Now, in the book, you said then about childhood obesity. 2 main kind of like topics that you discuss are malnutrition and obesity, childhood obesity. Why is it so important to discuss this further?
It's because we are getting unhealthier. So when I was sort of at school quite a few years ago, there wasn't many sort of larger children. Now it's quite normal. Same as walking down the street, it's quite normal to see people who are quite large. Large has become sort of the new norm. So we're quite used to seeing it and we don't notice it as much. But the health issues we do see, type 2 diabetes, for example, costs the NHS 10% of its budget. It's massively expensive to cope with our lifestyle that we're kind of creating for ourselves. And it's not, I'm not saying it's people's fault, it's not our fault. It's the food that we eat has changed considerably in the last 30 to 40 years.
And with your book, I mean, there's a lot of personal reasons behind it as well, with your little son as well. You know, these are things that, you know, and even getting them involved with it, you know, like with the design of the book as well.
Yeah, definitely. My little boy's been partly my inspiration for the book. Childhood nutrition was one of my sort of passions, but when he got past the weaning stage, which is very easy because basically they eat whatever you give them. You can mash up any vegetable and they will eat it. When you get past that stage, it gets more difficult because they start to want finger foods. Finger foods can be unhealthy for children. They start to see what other people have. Then it gets more tricky, and that's when I thought, actually, it's quite difficult to make the right choices. He's 4 now, and, you know, succumbing more to peer pressure around him. He's at school, so it is more difficult to control them the older they get, definitely. But he was partly my inspiration and part creativity in the book. He's been in the design studio creating one of the characters that we've got. We've got 5 characters who are on a mission to get children eating more vegetables, and he created one of them. So definitely a family affair.
What does that mean to you, though, Louise? You know, though, that you're really trying to get across this really, really important message. Your son's been involved with it and with the characters and the design of it. This kind of like, not a legacy as such, but I mean, what does it mean to you to get that out? Because it is a real fun family affair.
It is a real fun family affair with a sort of serious health message with it. So the beginning of the book is talking about some health statistics, but also going a bit behind the scenes of those statistics, because we can all see sort of headline 1 in 3 children are overweight, etc. But what does that really mean? So there's a little bit of that in the beginning of the book, and then there's a scientist carrot who needs a name. Actually, there is a Facebook competition to give him a name. So there's like a scientist carrot who's talking about why it's important to understand this, because I don't know about you, but I don't like to be told not to do something.
Yeah.
I like to understand why to do it or why not to do it. So the carrot is kind of, you know, explaining the science behind our health, and then the other food characters are there to kind of, they pop up in the book where there's like hidden vegetables. So for mum, if you have got really fussy children and they won't eat a vegetable, there's loads of recipes that you can hide them. So sneak them in. They'll never know. It's not necessarily the answer. You want them to eat them willingly, but at least they're getting. It's the start.
It's an important thing, isn't it? Because I haven't even thought about this, about how the peer pressure of a 4-year-old, like you say. Now, I can only imagine when you've got a baby, when you've got a child that's 1, 2, no problems. Baby food and with vegetables and fruit and everything's good. Get to preschool, all of a sudden, McDonald's, to the shop or whatever, you know, it could be chocolate, fizzy drinks around friends' houses and things like that. It's a bit of a minefield, Louise, isn't it?
It is, and it does definitely get more difficult. I mean, the teenage years, they are more the drinks that you talk about, and their sort of weight issues tend to come more from sugary drinks. When you look at sort of what makes up the problems in teenage years, it's sugary drinks predominantly.
What about in, you know, now, I guess, when should you give children sugar then? When's the right time? Is there a right time? Should that be like a certain allocated amount of sugar? Because I know that we all, you know, and this is probably one of the faults, you know, not killing kids with kindness, but saying, right, okay, here's a little treat, or here's this, or let's go to McDonald's or something. Where do you stand on that? How is it about making it balanced, or has there got to be kind of like almost like they can't have that until they're a bit older?
It's definitely about a balance, because like with anything, if you restrict and overly restrict, they'll want it more and they'll rebel against you. So, you know, you can't overly restrict on anything. The problem with sugar is that it's in the things you don't expect it to be in. So whilst you can talk about treats, and I actually posted a LinkedIn article on treats this morning, interesting, you should bring that up. When you think about treats, you know what you're eating. But when you think of it in, you know, hidden sauces, hidden cereals, hidden yogurt, you don't necessarily think you're giving them sugar. So that's when it becomes more of an addiction. And that sounds quite a strange thing to say for a young child, but sugar is addictive. It does affect parts of the brain, and then you kind of need it more.
It's a fascinating subject, because like you say, it's like a drug, isn't it? Really, like you say, it's addictive. Mm-hmm. You want more of it, you have some of it. It's like, blimey, that's just when you're 4 years old. You know what I mean? It's like, you've got a book launch coming up. People can get their hands on the book, read more information. How do they go about doing that?
So the book, How Food Shapes Your Child, is available now for pre-order, but the launch is the 24th of May. So we're having a launch party to collect pre-orders and to buy books. It'll be available on the website
Get in. It's been great having you, Louise. Thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck with the book.
Thank you.
How Food Shapes Your Child. You can get all the information from the Health Kick as well. Louise Massey, thank you ever so much for joining us on BBC Radio Less this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.